here at Chatmosa. I'm just kind of your host for today, just because I like to talk, and so I'm going to host everybody. Although everybody has their opinions here at Chatmosa, so I think it's really important. So yeah, like I said, this is our first episode. Super excited. We figured it'd probably be a good idea just for everybody to get together, especially the founders and Derek, head of growth, Derek, and talk about and actually use our platform here at Chatmosa. So that's like kind of the interesting thing here with this first session is just being able to use it and go through. And happy that other people can join here, and we'll be able to have kind of a casual conversation. So let's do a round robin, joined by CEO Camille. Shout out to Camille.
Hello there. My name is Camille Alcacid. I am the CEO of Chatmosa, and I'll be walking you through a little bit of why we built Chatmosa and our vision and what we hope to grow.
Yeah, it's a great thing, especially with this Jumbotron, is that you can do a screen share. So we'll be looking forward to that. And then next on the list, we have CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and also an engineer, Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, hello. I am head of tech. I'm not really used to being on the mic, but I'm super excited to be here. I help develop the platform and I'm working on the latest and greatest in audio AI. And my superpower is knowing just enough tech to be dangerous.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize we're talking about superpowers.
Okay, let's
Superpowers.
loop back. Let's loop back.
I love it. That's yes. Thanks, Sandra, for that. And then we're super excited
Yeah.
because we have a new addition to our family here at Chatmosa, head of growth, Derek. Now, Derek's had a big day today because Derek has like two personas up for us. Derek is also the host of the daily Chatmosa session, the Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea. And today was a super, super long day because Diddy verdict came down today after a year, right, Auntie Derek? After a whole year. So open your mic here and let's
Exactly
hear.
after 1 year, after
Shout out.
the day is here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David's a fan of your show. Yeah.
Love the show. Super trendy, really, really exciting. So glad you're here.
Yeah. And in fact, those listening to this podcast won't know this, but in Chatmosa, people can actually join in during the recording, and his co-host I Chill just joined in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the neat thing about Chatmosa.
Yeah, I chill.
Hello,
Give us a
hello.
shout out.
Hi. I'm a member of the team too.
You
I
are.
Yeah.
monitor for strangers in the hallway, and
Mm-hmm.
occasionally, I help Auntie with the show as well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And a little bit of a background on Chatmosa. It was born out of um, the cohort that welcomed me on Twitter Spaces. And Twitter Spaces, which is just a social audio platform. And a few years of doing that, kind of things can get better. Things could be better. And while there's that audio piece of it, which I loved, um, and for those that's listening to me, I typically don't even talk in those spaces. Um, it was lacking the visual sharing of it, and so David and Sandra and I got together, and how can we improve what's happening in social audio and bring in this way to share um, websites, social media posts, videos, and links, and a way to monetize. Mix that in, turn that to a podcast, and really help creators. Our mission with Chatmosa is to give voice to the marginalized community that typically don't have the access, don't have the technology to do podcasting, and give them that voice to be heard, right? Right, Auntie? All
That's
right.
absolutely right.
And David, I think we have someone. We have Chill's hands
Yeah.
raised.
Jill, you want to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Happy. I think I remember you saying that as spaces evolved and there were things about it, that we didn't like. I think that was a large part of spurring you to, want to create something that could be more controlled by the user, more private if we wanted it, public if we wanted it. We had those options, whereas, Twitter was pretty much deciding what we could do and what we couldn't do. And then they introduced anonymous listening, and
Yeah,
that just kind of kills spaces for a lot of people, I think,
yeah,
because you don't see as many. I mean, there used to be a lot of spaces across the top, and now it's just mostly news spaces and occasionally, a personal space. But yeah, I think you sort of got that idea back then, and then you guys kind of jumped on that.
yes. And it's really improving. What existed. David, Sandra, and I have been um, building websites, for many decades. And when we got together, we said, what is it that we can do that we dreamt of back in the 90s that technology has finally caught up that we could realize now? And so I did not come from audio tech, neither did Sandra and David. We came from video. And so when we built Chatmosa, it was, we're, our backgrounds are in engineering and kind of, it's a great challenge. And, thanks to Auntie and a few of our podcasts are willing to do shows publicly. Um, our goal is to turn podcasting into an easy peasy podcasting, and our product will never stop. We'll never stop building the product, and we have finally reached a stage where it's time to grow. And enter Derek.
It's time to grow indeed. And hello everyone. I am Chatmosa's newest head of growth. Thank you for that title, David. But more specifically, you can use the term customer growth consultant. And
Mm.
what my goal is to be so just a little bit of a background. I always wanted a podcast. However, I didn't know where to start. So when you look at your favorite podcast, what you notice, like especially the ones that are recorded, you notice that most of these guys are sitting together in one studio with professional mics and stuff, usually maybe costing what hundreds of dollars of studio time, spending that amount of money. So I
Yep.
just didn't even know where to start. However, what Chatmosa is able to do is pretty much cut a lot of that off, which I love. And there's no need for a studio. I use my laptop. I use a podcasting mic, thanks to David.
Mm.
And so I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So they're probably sitting thinking like me, like, oh, I do want a podcast, but how do I? Because I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. So how do I even get started? So what my goal is as the new head of growth is to make people aware of that. And by doing that, and it's easy for me because just like David said earlier, I multitask. So I have my own podcast on this platform, Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea, so that way I can use my experience with this to show, like literally show, because I do it on a daily basis. I can literally show them how easy peasy podcasting it is on Chatmosa. So we want, and just like Camille said, like I be part of a marginalized group, being Black, LGBTQ. I'm looking for other voices as well who are usually marginalized, and so they don't know what they don't know. I don't think they understand. So my goal is to make sure to grow. Like the definition of growth is increasing in physical size, right? So I think
Yep.
I'm going to do that and using my background. So just a little bit, I have a background in customer service management, customer success management, and digital marketing. Believe it or not.
Mhm.
So I'm going to use my tools, my resources to reach out to these people, and again, let them know, hey, I think you should be podcasting. And hey,
Right.
it's really easy to do so. We want you to what? Be heard.
Yes,
Yeah, I
chill.
love that. Chill. I chill.
Also, a good part uh, that I think other podcasting doesn't have relating to studio is that I'm on my iPad. I can be in the podcast, participating in the podcast right from my couch. I don't have
That's
to
true.
be there. So, and I can be heard, and I'm not using a professional mic or anything. People come in on their phones. It's a beautiful thing because we can all participate in what's going on, and that's the niche product I think
Yeah.
with Auntie's podcast is that we can participate. You can have people from anywhere come in and join you. I love that.
That's true. Everyone's connecting from different locations. Yeah, I see that in some of our podcasts, and definitely Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea podcast, where people are connecting from different locations. Some are connecting from their car, some from their office computer, you know, some
Some
from
from
their,
Germany.
uh-huh, right? And, you're able to bring in audience and have the audience, vocally, if they wanted to share their, camera feed, they can, but, and visually share. We love the fact that for some of the podcasts happening on Chatmosa, especially Auntie Derek, um, you know, on Derek, you're able to share your screen. Do like everyone's watching at the same time. It's really
Hmm.
neat to watch you go through a web page, a website. So and it's one of our goals because a lot of people, majority of the people have the face for an audio podcast.
Hey.
No, but you don't need to be on camera. That's the whole point. I mean, for us, we wanted to create a platform where you're not pressured to put your camera feed, your face, on the screen and really celebrate the audio piece of it while still having, a visual piece that everyone's looking at and sharing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's all about, talking in this day and age of everybody yelling. It's all about communicating and talking amongst each other. And so I think that's really important, and in this day and age. And that's why it's the whole thing, like you said, Derek, it's just to be heard. I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's actually there's so many interesting stories. Uh, I think the more interesting stories out there are those that are not being heard.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
right, I mean, really, like Auntie Derek's daytime podcast is so fascinating. There's a daily story of the tea, but it's everyone else's comments and stories on how their opinions and how they relate to various stories.
Yep.
Right, the agreements and disagreements. It makes podcasts fun, and that's what we hope to accomplish with Chatmosa is to really change the podcast landscape and give the voice to those that don't have the access or think that they don't have the access.
And also, Derek, what you said was really important is it's really hard to podcast, right? Technically, I mean, it's even tough for me. It's really hard to figure out, oh, do I have to buy all this equipment? No.
Mhm.
So our goal here, other than be it just allowing people to be heard, is to really make this easy to use and easy to publish, is the key. And you can see in this graphic here on the jumbotron here is that to get your content from here on Chatmosa to all of the different major podcasting platforms is a feat amongst itself, because what we're trying to do is make that easy. That's kind of what started YouTube back in the day. Was people were encoding videos for video blogs. It was a nightmare. And then Chatmosa came around, or YouTube came around, and basically made it super easy to upload videos and then publish it. So that's what we're trying to do here also.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sandra, could chime in here. Um, we come up with ideas and develop it, and then we sit back and watch how are people using it, what's working and what's not working. And Derek, what's my phrase in Chatmosa?
Easy peasy podcasting.
Yeah, and then
Well,
the other one, the FF.
sorry, it slipped my mind. FF.
Yeah,
Hold on.
it's okay. It's okay. It's fail fast.
Oh, fail fast. Yeah.
Woo!
No, that wasn't a test. We don't test here.
Lies. Yes, you do.
Oh,
I guess we do. I mean, we're a small team. I think this first episode showcases what a small team we are, and this is the beginning of our growth. And that's why we're excited to have Derek and Derek's friends, and the support that people would, if they check it out and try it out. Um, Derek, I know what Derek's shows are like 2 hours long, right?
yep, they can get up there. Yeah, it's usually between an average of hour and a half to up to 2 hours, depending on how
Mm.
much celebrity news we go over.
Right. Yeah, because you could start recording at any time and end it at any time, but the
Hmm.
real fun chat happens before the recording and after the recording,
Yes, indeed.
right?
The spicy parts. We can't let
That's
y'all.
fine. Yes,
We can hear about that.
the
People
good
speak very
part.
freely when they see they're not being recorded.
And
Oh yeah, it's
that's
not all about podcasting. It's just being able to be here and chat with your friends. I mean, it has so many levels to what Chatmosa can be, but the easy peasy podcasting is definitely a plus. But it can be a meeting room, just because.
That's
yeah,
right.
and the other pieces is as far as easy peasy podcasting, your reach is quite easy. You kind of do your recording on Chatmosa, and then it shows up on iTunes and all the podcasting platforms. But the other part that we are focused on is how we can help you earn revenue.
Yeah.
And um, just this week, I mean, Auntie, this week uh, you started putting donation buttons,
Hmm.
right, for breast cancer awareness,
Yep. Yes, indeed.
and it got funded right away.
Yes. And more specifically, when was it? The first day, October 1st, of the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My cousin had a link where she was looking for donations, so I shared her link, and her goal was met that same day.
Yeah, yeah, and another piece that David is sharing. David likes to post things on the jumbotron, but you can actually control what you're displaying on the jumbotron right now. I think there's about 10 slides already, and I know, and we treat each slide as camera one, camera two, camera three, and you can actually move around with that. And so another fun way to do this video podcasting without showing your face.
Yeah, it's super powerful, especially, it's interactive too. And I'd love to get Auntie Aichel, Jesus, you're also on. I want to know, because you're in the trenches here doing the daily show, Auntie Derek, as far as just what have you learned? What are the pain points, and some of the things that really caught your attention, where I think I've heard, I've had some moments where, because life is all about moments where things just kind of hit you and you go, oh wow, that was deep. So just love to know your feedback.
So let's see. Well, after what I've learned, I've learned that it's not as easy as it looks, right? Some people make it look easy, but there's prep you have to go into. You have to it's one you don't want to just start a podcast and not have anything to talk about, because everyone could. That's just like what, a phone call, maybe calling a relative or something. So you do want to maybe. I've learned that you want to maybe kind of take it a little bit more seriously. Like, do you want to talk about celebrity gossip? Do you want to talk about cars? Do you want, like, do something, and that way you can research it and that way get when you record your product, and you sound you. I don't. I think it's good to have something to talk about. But like go in preparation. So yes, that's what I learned. That preparation is important. That was very long winded for me to say preparation is important, but I say all that to say I've learned that preparation is important for podcast, and it's not as easy as it looks.
It's not, because I started podcasting, and right from the get-go it was like, oh, it's awkward. It's like a lot of you but when you podcast or do these things with the people that you enjoy, it gets, starts to kind of, everyone starts to relax and enjoy the discussion. For example, what you have here in the Jumbotron, um, a podcast between doctors and friends. I mean, to get the doctors to podcast, even to get them to find their time for them to, uh, connect for an hour. But we make it happen, and they're from all over the country, and everyone just connects on a Sunday, and we do this podcast. So when you do start podcasting, it's okay when it's the first 2 3 episodes, um, could be a little bit awkward, and that's okay. You could always remove it. You could always, um, replace it. But that's just part of it. You kind of people don't like to some people don't like to hear their voices, and that's what happens. But
Yeah, and
Right,
I just
um,
Jill?
wanted to I'm sorry, and I just wanted to add really
Mm.
quickly, like, because even though the show prepping part of it is not easy, this is why I like Chatmosa, because it kind of just like it gives you a relief. That's one less thing you have to worry about. Like you don't have to use any if you don't want to. If you want to, then that's one thing, but you don't have to use any editing software. You don't have to use any like it just pretty much takes a big chunk out of getting that content out there after doing all of that hard show prep. So that's what I love about Chatmosa.
that's true, because I can't chase Derek because afterwards he's watching Beyond the Gates.
That's right.
Hi, Jill. You get your hand raised.
Well,
Let's hear.
you asked the question. I think for me, it's helpful that we sort of all knew each other. The people that do participate in Auntie's podcast. So we've been around each other for a long time, and it was really fun when we started out. But when you find out that those podcasts are now going to be uploaded to other platforms, I think there's just a level of professionalism I feel like we had to sort of keep in mind, that it wasn't just limited to the current time that we were talking, that there are going to be people listening after we finish and on lots of different platforms. So it has made me have to think a little bit more about what I'm saying.
Yep,
And, I don't want Chatmosa to get sued.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, you have to put a little thought into it. And Auntie does such a great job, preparing our topics for us and bringing, all the celebrity tea. We love that. But
Mhm.
we also have to do our part in keeping it, correct, and not putting us in any kind of, legal bind. So, I mean, I think about that,
that's true.
even though we can pretty much, we say curse words and we give our opinions, but their opinions. They're not, uh, we're not legal analysts, we're not lawyers or anything like that. And we try to keep it that way to make it be known that these are just opinions that we have, and that's all it is. So,
That's true. Thanks for bringing that up. We went through that with the podcast with the doctors, um, where Chatmosa has a locking feature. So sometimes during the recordings, the recordings will be locked. Meaning you have to have an access code to even get in, uh, to warm them up, to get them comfortable and talking and being recorded, um, to control who comes in. There are sessions. We call them sessions in Chatmosa, where if you want to just gather, your friends and discuss something, that's you don't want it, you know recorded or distributed on the major podcasting platform. Um, it's visible so people can connect to it easily, but then they need an access code. And I think we've had, people do. Derek, you've experienced that, right?
Yep.
And the other piece is the ticketing piece, where consultants can actually do, consulting shows or classes, courses, and only the people that pay get to come in.
Yeah, there are so many levels you could. It's you guys have really just made Chatmosa just an all-around platform. What people can do with it, from being revenue producing to just a hangout spot for friends. And I love that versatility of it.
Thank you, Chill.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
you,
yeah,
what else?
I
Keep
mean,
going.
and then we have, like, the constant, making sure that, let's start from like step one. It's this authentication, and I think Sandra can speak to it. Something that we constantly have to check. When we first started this, we said, you know, how can people just reuse the social media accounts or email accounts that they already have? And that way you're not recreating it. Um, I go through the problem of, there is like blue sky and threads and, new platforms that are cropping up. And I don't want to recreate another account and remember those passwords. And so we said, what if, you know, let's just kind of, hopefully it's easy. But Sandra, maybe you could say something about that.
Implementing a lot of the social media authentication.
You're too loud.
Oh, I'm pretty far from the mic,
Did you
actually.
send her a mic too, David? Because boy,
There we go. Woo!
Am I too loud?
Yeah. She's actually like laying on the couch.
I know, right? Now, like the social media piece for Chatmosa, for validating, the members, it's constantly being updated and reworked, and even the news that's affecting TikTok will affect Chatmosa. So it's a part of the site that, in terms of tech, it's something that we have to stay on top of.
Yeah, but
But
we also like made sure that we didn't want to store your passwords in Chatmosa,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's something that we've been dealing with for for decades. People that authenticate, log in, and where the website stores your password, and we didn't want that.
Mhm.
Woohoo!
And then we get
Yeah.
this lull,
What's that?
and we get
No.
this lull
Always the
quiet time.
lulls.
Cut
Yeah.
it, trim it, trim it.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you can do a demo, just a quick demo, just for the video, Camille.
Yeah, just
And then we can talk about it. And then I just want to talk about more about the growth and everybody's thoughts on, how we can kind of grow Chatmosa after that. And then some of the things that you're also working on too, and Sandra.
yeah. This is kind of that you're looking at how a Chatmosa session looks like from the host point of view, where you do have the chat on the right, where the admins can, here's the back chat, which is people can, chat with each other.
Are you
Um,
sharing there, Camille?
am I sharing it? Yeah, I am sharing it.
Okay, got it.
She is slide 13.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
And
great.
then, we continue to, try to improve our how to's. But one of the big things for Chatmosa is really our Jumbotron. And the Jumbotron is where you could share links. And this was really inspired by me and my family and friends when we get together in the living room. People sit around the couch and share what's on their cell phone to the big screen TV. And so I said, what if we can do that, you know, online, where people are always, I mean, come on, like you guys, I have people in my group chats, like all they do is keep sharing all these posts, and it's okay because then I know they're okay. You can share whatever website, especially if you're shopping together. We encourage you to share your affiliate, links like Amazon. You could share a photo. I know Auntie Derek uses share your screen,
Hmm.
but everyone's kind of, if you use these communication platforms, that's what people are used to. You could create a poll and get people to answer it. This was inspired by kind of a family feud scenario. And then there's a custom. So if you have a sponsor, or if the links you're showing doesn't display a photo, you can kind of control how that looks like. But not just the host is able to share a link. You could actually, of course, there's some ethics, etiquette, sorry, etiquette that you could bring in your speakers and be able to share as they tell their story, share something visually, and then there's also the pace of sharing, not to share, too fast, too many too fast. Do it as you're telling a story. And the raising of the hand and the emojis, that's what a lot of communication platforms have. But this is a sample of um, what it's like to host a Chatmosa session. Now, there are podcasters out there that may not want a crowd to attend their session, and they simply want to record um, their session, which is totally fine. You could, have a session. You could even make it private. You could lock it out, um, and just record your session, and then done. When you're done recording, just kind of, you can just end the session. And when you do end the session, you have these power tools where you can control recording. Chatmosa will help you. We create these, summary recap, social media posts. You could control, the attendees that join, send them an email, and plus plus plus. That's it from me without making this too boring.
You could never. That was beautiful. And that's what I see every day when I host my every weekday when I host my show. And it is yeah, so those tools that she showed, you see how easy it was just to navigate through that.
Right? And your co-host will have the same access because we do have um, uh, shows that happen here, and then they're like, yeah, I don't have the time to do all these things, so they'll have their co-host take care of it. So we gave that feature. Let's see. There's also, we have a few things under our belt, and we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things coming up, which is really exciting, especially in just on the whole, how we can help everybody here generate revenue, which is really important. So that's really also what we're focusing on, is how we can help you make some money.
Yeah. So was the old David's talking. I'm the co-host, and I actually just changed the screen for him as he was talking. So yeah, you could have your co-host. Don't give too many people co-hosts, privileges, because a co-host basically has what the host has access to, administrative rights. But it allows you to kind of, have someone help you. In the media side of things, we call them your producer.
That's me.
Yeah,
That's right.
There you
there you
go.
go. That's you. So,
Yeah,
so Derek, I'm going to let you talk about, maybe some of your thoughts on future plans here on growth, because that's like it's a big session. Yeah, it's a big session on growth. And it, like I said
mhm.
at the beginning, it makes my head kind of spin when people talk about growth and technology. It's just so complicated, and there's so many memes out there that, yeah. So just talk about what you think about what growth means to you.
Well, growth.
Without revealing too much, okay?
Yeah,
Oh, of
without
course.
revealing too much.
Well,
Exactly.
what growth means to me is just making something like I said, the literal definition, increasing in physical size. So that means more people using this platform to record their podcast, no matter what that is about. And I think what my goal is, or what I plan to do, is just pretty much take the intimidation out of it. Because a lot of people, again, they think that maybe they need certain things to podcast. They don't realize that, just like Chill said, she's on her iPad on her couch. I use my laptop. A lot of times I sit on the floor when I'm podcasting.
Mm,
So
Ooh, really?
I do,
That's
believe it or not.
interesting.
So he's actually crisscross applesauce. So
Oh.
yeah,
wow.
I
And Beezus is in the car all the time.
Bees is in the car or at work.
Uh-huh.
Up. Oop.
but that's just like I said, they are intimidated. They want to do it just like me. When I want to say, maybe especially around 2019 or so, I really did want to podcast, but I just did not know where to start. So what I plan to do is use my tools, use my social media influence, use my following to just pretty much see who wants the podcast. Because if you search podcast, you'd be surprised at the number of people posting, "Hey, I think I want a podcast." I plan on reaching out to those people, especially if they're a part of a marginalized group, and say, "Hey, did you know you can be heard this way?" So that's my goal, and that those are my thoughts. So I just the taking the intimidation out of it,
Yeah.
being that holding their hand, basically saying, "Hey, look, if I," and it's really that cliche, "If I can do it, you can do it."
Yeah, I agree. And what are some of the different, like I've said before, some of the different personas? Because, we can cover a lot of different types of people and, in podcasting. Like,
Mhm.
if I'm a small business, should I be podcasting? If I'm, I understand like an influencer podcasting, but there's so many different use cases for easy peasy podcasting, right?
Absolutely. Yes. If you're a small business, especially a restaurant or something, you have an event coming up, you want to promote, that's one of the easiest ways to do it. Yes. Let's just let podcasting is the new thing now. Is if you see just the increase of podcasts over the last, what, 4 years or so,
Hmm.
is I join in, join the fun, get in, strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
So yes, a small business most certainly can benefit from podcasting, because look at all of the platforms that you can be heard.
Yeah, I agree. I was just talking to a doctor today, and his thing is he's originally from Syria, and I don't know what's going on. I had no idea there's a lot of things going on over in Syria, but there is a lot of stuff going on, and so he's trying to figure out how to use Chatmosa and kind of get the word out as to what's going on in his home country. And he's also really excited about the idea of using Chatmosa, A, for educating people of what's going on in different countries, but B, he's also wants to do it for fundraising, which is a really interesting kind of thing because they need money in order to kind of educate people here as to what's going on in that country.
Mhm.
So fundraising is another interesting use case, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially with that, just like I mentioned earlier about my cousin's cancer link of breast cancer awareness link, where she
Yeah.
was asking for donations, and again, her goal was met that same day. And the good thing about it, remember when I mentioned all of the platforms that you can be heard on, what you put, so that button, that donate link, actually transferred over there. So it was on YouTube, it was on Spotify, it was on Apple Podcasts. So anybody who sees that day of my show that day, they will also see my cousin's link to continue her fundraising journey.
That's true. Because a lot of the podcasts, they play back one after another automatically.
Yep.
Versus social media, you have to like swipe to the next one, click to the next one.
Hmm.
And so discoverability could be faster in social, for podcasting. And I have to say, a podcast doesn't have to be an hour. You can have a 50-minute podcast per episode. A podcast, you don't need a guest, to interview if, that's not your format. You could just, do it by yourself. If you're a business, talk about your business. It's really storytelling. And whether you do it by yourself or with, of course, it's always more fun when other people are, with you and, having a conversation with you. But there are some very good podcasts where it's just 15 minutes at a time.
Hmm.
Hmm. And Camille, you've been talking to some people about, they want a podcast and they have really interesting lives, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that it? Like here in LA, there's so many things going on, and every city has so many things going on, but there's so many interesting people that really I would be super interested to hear about their daily lives.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really what I discovered in social audio with Twitter. It allowed me to listen and learn about other people's lives through audio that I wouldn't have had access to in the past. And that really inspired me, to build this Chatmosa and allow that to happen because it's storytelling. And I think what Derek had mentioned earlier, it's the marginalized communities. So much stories, and just whether I think whether you're an up and coming, an emerging filmmaker trying to figure out how to get funding to tell your to do your movie, podcast it, be creative and story tell that way, right? You're part of an organization, or you're competing for next year, not next year, but 2028's Olympics. You have a story to tell, and start podcasting. Use Chatmosa. Start fundraising, so you could fundraise for your trip to come here and everything else, all the costs around that. Um, I think between I'm in Los Angeles and Auntie is in the East Coast, and we're connected. Chill is in another state, and we're all over the place, but we're able to connect and tell each other stories. And really, those voices and stories need to be heard, especially with the growth of AI. AI is going to come, and AI is going to regurgitate people's story and tell them. But there's nothing like, a human being's real life story that can be told. 'Cause,
That's right.
I
in fact,
agree.
Hollywood's running out of stories. They're just like version one, version two, but there's so many more. And I think with Chatmosa, connect, do your recording, 15 minutes, this is what's happening. Whether it's just audio, you want to put the video from your phone, use that video that you took of the footage, use that, put it up. And all of a sudden you're on YouTube, um, showcasing, being discovered there.
That's right. And it's one of those things. So where my show came about, like, so the thing about me is I'm gonna all when I wake up in the morning, nothing excites me more than having a cup of coffee and reading celebrity news. So I was gonna read celebrity news anyway. So now what I'm able to do, the celebrity news I read, I could just talk about it and podcast and now and do it with friends. Like Camille said, all over the world, including from the West Coast. Like she said, I'm in the East Coast, and then my friend who comes in and she's in Germany. So we're connected
Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah.
So and it's a seamless conversation. So
I, think
hey,
I would highlight Auntie's daytime tea show, um, where it was Auntie and chill, and maybe a few people, four people would join, three people would join, and then there were times that I noticed this more towards the end of the week, like 12 people are there, 15 people are there, and the
mhm,
conversation gets exciting. Your regulars, Auntie,
Mhm.
from you, it went from you and chill to more people that became regular. And the point is, you guys are having fun doing it, right?
yes, lots of fun.
And really, I don't need to listen to Wendy Williams. Sandra and I, for many years, you know, 11 o'clock LA time, We have Wendy Williams in back of our office playing every day. We just want to listen to the what's going on in the news. Now it's Auntie. Like shh, Auntie's talking.
Well, that's Auntie's one of his idols. So
My biggest inspiration.
yes, indeed, yes, indeed.
And your show, you guys always also bring uh, opinions and comments and perspective that I feel people need to hear, and that's the kind of storytelling and being heard
With
that
different backgrounds, so
yes.
we give our perspective from, we're different ages, we're from different backgrounds, and I love that, we all have a different perspective on what we're talking about. We can be serious and tell our own personal stories, as well as give our perspective on the messy news.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think. What do you think, David? I think that concludes our very
Yeah,
first.
I think this has been great. You guys have been amazing.
Yay!
Thank you so much for joining us and having this casual conversation. And it's great to kind of meet everything, and I also hear kind of feedback and how you actually do your show, Auntie. That's you and Nigel, and it's great. Really
You mean
enjoyed
like
this.
a reality show on your podcast?
Yeah, I know. So we're so excited to have you on the team here.
I am happy to be here. Thank you,
Mm.
thank you, thank you.
All right. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this inaugural session here on Chatmosa Growth. So really appreciate everybody joining us. And yeah, next time we'll talk about more things. So appreciate everybody. Thanks, Aichel. Thanks, Beezus.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Camille. Thanks,
Thank
Sandra.
you. Bye bye.